Welcome once again to the Bills and Bones podcast. I'm Gio. I'm here as always, my co-host PC. We started Bills and Bones to talk football for the fans with a focus on PC's team, the Buffalo Bills, and my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. This is our first week of our regular season show and our first explicit show, by the way, PC, but where we focus on the Raiders and the Bills and also talk about some of our division games. This show is brought to you by Wally's Auto Dishwashers. Wally's Dishwashers, one less reason to have a woman around.
Touche.
So let's do Bills first. So what do we think of the Bills? I mean, I know my opinion on what I watched, but what's your opinion on what you watched?
Well, first of all, I'll take a W anytime in this league. I mean, that is something that goes without saying. You can chuck it up and laugh and say that, but you know, when yours comes in October, it'll be awesome.
At least we lost with honor.
If there's such a thing, never enter honor. So we were outcoached that first half. If you watched the game, which I know you did, G, the Cardinals came out and they really kept it on the ground, kept us on our roller skates, and for a while there had a lot of Bills fans scratching their head.
I feel like they took advantage of the opinion of everybody of you walking into that game, which was the Cardinals was going to be like a preseason warm-up game, and I think that they kind of took advantage of that in the beginning because it took a little bit to get moving there.
Well, right, and look, I never took them for granted. I've been to too many home openers. I've been to too many games out there where I've seen them lose to almost everyone. So never, ever taking them for granted. Not to mention the fact that Murray looked great in that first half. So I was not taking them for granted. They got a really nice receiving core, which he didn't take advantage of because when we came out in the second half, we turned the tables. I feel like our coaching staff did a great job adjusting and keeping Connor in the box, keeping Murray in the box, a lot more tackles for losses. You saw Greg Rousseau really, really start to blossom, a guy that the Bills are going to have to pay and probably pay very soon. He was incredible throughout. And then even late, seeing Von finally contribute to this team in a way that, you know, some of us have come accustomed to was awesome. That bull rush was, even when Von was great, he wasn't bull rushing guys to the quarterback. He was getting around them, deking them out, and making moves that way. Von bull rushed that guy right to the quarterback. I think he took advantage of someone who was taking him for granted, didn't think that, you know, that was still something that he had in the tank. But look out, NFL, if that guy can come out there and continue to do well. Like I said, that second half was great to watch. After you score right at the end of the first and you come right out and you just dominate and go right down the field and score, sent a message right away that, okay, we're back. They tie that game. Then they come down. They get the sack. They get the turnover. They make a lot of plays to take the lead. And I'm not going to say that, you know, I was happy, but I feel like Bills fans who have been watching this team for a long time, when they saw them come out and saw Josh do what he did in that second half, I think a lot of people, you know, had a sign of relief. They were a lot more comfortable with what they were seeing. What I wasn't comfortable seeing, though, G, is a lot of Bills fans, including myself, be very, very upset about the fact that, you know, McDermott late in that game made a decision to kick a field goal of death, which, you know, I will get into a little bit more, but I don't know. The talk around town has been about him quite a bit. We escaped. We got the win. Like I said, 1-0 is great. But for me, you know, that is something that we're going to touch upon a lot this year, and we're going to really dive into some of the just chicken shit. Chicken shit. To do that, it's 4th and 3. You got Josh Allen. I'm sorry. You get that first down and you ice the game. Another thing that I was really disappointed about, obviously, is the injuries. Teron Johnson, I think he probably broke that forearm. I mean, I'm no doctor. They're being very, very hush-hush about it up here, G. So whatever happened to him, it could be, you know, a long-term injury. But the good thing for the Bills was that Cam Lewis came in there and just did a hell of a job and was able to not only shut down the passing game and be a part of that, secondary that shut him down, but he was also huge in the run game, getting around guys, making plays, making tackles, being a pain in the ass, the type of guy that you want on your team, and very similar to what Tehran does, but, you obviously want your starter, probably a first team, probably the best cover guy in the league in the slot that's out there, and tough physical guy that we're going to miss a lot. But if Cam Lewis can come in there and do what he did week in and week out, I mean, we will still, be able to do what we want to do. And then also Josh, we've talked about it on this show a lot, G. He's got to get down. He's got to be smart. I understand in the red zone he's going to do some crazy things and he's going to jump over the pile and he's going to put himself out there. But, man, came right down on his hand with his own elbow.
But if he doesn't play that way, you guys don't win that game.
Well,
that's the thing, is that he is your entire team. He is your running back. He is your quarterback. He is your hype man. If he doesn't play that way, you lose. That's why he had to play that way. And that's my problem with that win. That's my problem with Bills fans lately in general is let's go Buffalo, is let's go Allen. Because if he ever gets hurt, seriously, you guys are completely done. You guys lose.
So you're telling me the
Chiefs, you lose that game.
Chiefs have a chance if Mahomes goes down? Get the fuck out of here.
They have more weapons than you guys do.
Oh, my God. So because of the weapons,
you think that they have a better running game now than you guys do. They have more targets than you guys do. Okay. Mahomes is Mahomes.
You're smoking crack.
Mahomes is
smoking crack. You're making up an excuse. If he was out, they are done. You would probably think that the shitty Raiders have a chance at the division if Allen was out. So I don't even, if Mahomes was out, I don't even want to hear that. Of course, any team,
we beat any sport. Mahomes, but
congratulations. So did we in the regular season where it doesn't mean shit.
We did.
You know what I'm saying. You know I'm right. In any sport, if your superstar isn't in there, you don't have a shot.
Your team is Josh Allen. You know that. You would lose 20% of your fan base without Josh Allen. Like, look, you have this, and you talked about it before. Your whole new fan base is all the Josh Allen fucking fan base. Like,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Your fan base without Josh Allen, and you guys lose that game with any other quarterback. You guys lose that game on Sunday with any other quarterback.
Well, we don't have any other quarterback. We have Superman, and he will be in the building.
But that's what I'm saying. So, but you guys can't say, I want Josh Allen to play it smart, because when he is playing it smart, you're losing.
He doesn't need to jump over dudes.
I want him to. Yes, he does.
He doesn't.
He has as many touchdowns by himself as your entire receiving core.
So,
he does. So, that's what he's got to do. Because if he doesn't have to do that,
dude, how many times has he walked into the end zone? We're not talking about just. What I'm saying is he doesn't need to hurdle over guys anymore, G. He's a 7-year veteran. That shit is over. I mean, get out of bounds, slide.
He got you that.
It would have been first down. It would have been the first down. That's why. The next play we were running it down their throat without him. Go look at your stats. I don't even have to tell you. Cook was running it, what? We were tearing them
yards. His average was 3.7.
Exactly. So, like, don't 3.7. If Josh would have went down at the 1, he'd take 3.7. He can walk all the way to the back of the end zone. Yeah. So,
and he has 0 TDs, and Josh has 2. Josh is your running back. He's your running back too. Like, Cook is getting better. Like,
too fucking bad. Great. That's the way it goes. You can say, all you got is Josh. Well, you ain't got shit, but a bunch of dudes that can rush the quarterback. Team. So I don't really want to hear it. That's right.
We have talent in other places.
Patrick Mahomes is their entire team. Patrick Mahomes is their entire team. You take him out of the equation, they stink. Lamar Jackson, you take him out of the equation, they stink. Give me any other quarterback and tell me you think that they're going to have a shot. The only team that's going to get better with a new quarterback there is yours, because yours both suck. And no matter what happens, that's going to be, at the end of the day, they're going to stink no matter what. Your team's going to stink if you lose your starting quarterback.
Yes, our team is Raiders are held back by
every single team.
Raiders are held back by quarterback.
Right, and if you got a good one, you're going to take. Well, that's how you win in this league. Look at the last
I'm
ones
not
that
saying
won
that's
it.
not how you win, but what I'm saying is like Bills fans can't have it both ways. You can't say
Yes,
I
you
don't
can.
want Josh going beast mode,
That's
but I
not what
also
I
want to
said.
win.
I don't need him to
because
jump over
unless
people.
he jumps over piles, runs through people, and everything else that he does, you guys lose to the Cardinals.
No, we would
Without
have
him
probably
doing that,
scored
you
on the
lose to
next play.
Cardinals. Oh yeah, but probably. He's got a case.
Okay, so when it was 3rd and 2 and they stuffed his ass, when we could have, run another play. We could have run another play when it was 3rd and 2 and we were down there and kicked that field goal of death. He was running a quarterback draw. Like, no, dude. Don't tell me that he's our only play. No, that's not true. He's great when he's moving around in the pocket. Design plays for him to run fine. But get down, get out of bounds, be smart. That's all I'm saying. We don't need him to go beast mode or whatever the hell you want to call it. Get out of bounds.
Without Josh
Be
Allen,
smart.
Superman, your team is 2
You can be
touchdowns
Superman
down.
without being stupid. That's all I'm saying. All right. So
I don't know.
Moving on.
You could be
Yes.
Superman without being stupid.
Absolutely,
That's kind
you
of
can
the
be.
whole point of. I mean, he literally, is Superman out there, and if you change that up, your entire team goes down. If he ever
Wrong.
gets hurt, which I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt, but if he ever gets hurt,
If he
your
does, we
team is
stink.
on
So
the
does
fucking
your-
rails.
That's every team in sports, bro. If you got a
At least
superstar.
if our quarterback gets hurt, no one notices. at least
except
we
for
have
the other
that.
team,
But
except for the other teams trying to get the first pick. That's true.
But
They're going to be the only ones.
the entire team is based on Allen. So like I think if you're a Bills fan, just embrace the fact that you need him to be Superman every game, and he's
No,
going to
I
play
need him
until
to-
he gets hurt. He's
The
going to
play
get
of the
hurt
game.
eventually.
The play of the game is when he was smart, okay? The play of the game was when we scored with Hollins when Josh read the blitz. Probably the first time that I've seen him read a blitz since Dable was here, when he was on the headset. Josh knew what was coming. He recognized that number 2 was coming, so he took Hollins. He knew that he would have him on that slant, and he got the touchdown. He took advantage of the matchup. He's starting to see it. That's what I'm talking about and being smart. He doesn't have to, and being stupid and being Superman is what he did in the first half. When he didn't take that read, when he had a wide open man, almost the same exact play, and then he tried to run, and from behind, somebody swiped it from his hands. I don't need him doing that stuff all the time, G. Yes. Are there going to be times where I'm holding my breath because Josh is doing incredible shit? Yes. Everybody that's in Buffalo knows that's going to happen now. That's the way it goes. I just don't need him to be hurt because I want to make a run, and he can be smart and be Superman at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
It's shocking that he hasn't been hurt already. I mean, it's shocking that he hasn't been hurt already, and I'm worried that, like I said, I don't care whose team you're on. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but this is a good season for that to happen. This is that season where he really failed out in the Super Bowl twice now. The last 2 years when you guys were actually good and had a chance at it, you guys failed out on it. Now he's got this year 7 coming around. He's going to start doing the Superman kind of shit, and then all of a sudden, boom, there goes the arm, there goes the shoulder.
He threw it
again,
to
there
10
goes the
different
leg.
guys. He threw it to 10 different guys. There's no more digs that he's got to make happy.
And the highest yards was 51 yards from one of those guys. Most of your guys are 23
We
and 30.
won the game. You're saying stupid shit. None of that stat shit, man. You even saying we don't even talk about the stats here. You're throwing a stupid stat. Look at the whole fucking league this week.
Without Josh Allen's stats, then you guys not only lose that game, but lose that game by quite a bit, I think.
All right, Captain Obvious. Thank you for showing the fuck up. If our quarterback didn't play and wasn't there, you guys would have no chance of winning. That is great. You are an awesome podcaster, and that is fucking sweet.
So, but what I'm saying is, you can't put a leash on Josh and then
Yes,
say
you
you
can.
also want to win. Those
Yes, you
two
can.
things are not going to work.
Josh
because
needs to put it on himself.
Your guys' games come down to one freaking touchdown, and you need 2 from him.
Okay. Well,
You need him. You need him to score by himself twice.
there'll be plenty of
So-
blowouts too. There will be. And if there's
just
not,
let him do his thing.
find all those other targets. Find all these other guys that you have. You're spreading the ball around. He didn't even go to Kincaid, our pick from last year. You went to him twice. He had a great play on one of the stupid penalties that we can talk about too. How about the whiff by the ref we talked about, G? The guy calls it roughing the.
That messed up my parlay. So
Well.
because that messed up my halftime parlay. Because
if you really-
without that ref call, there's no touchdown from Arizona. So
That was
messed
third
up
down.
my whole parlay.
That's right.
So,
that was third down.
yeah,
They were
that
going to
messed up
kick
my
a
whole
field goal, and watching the replay, it's finally time. New York comes in and on Monday night last night, New York came in and adjusted a call for the refs. Why couldn't they come in and adjust the call for that? That was such weak.
Because you guys are the Bills.
Well, whatever it is.
Well, what I'm saying is,
other guys are going to get screwed.
How long have Bills fans? But how long have Bills fans, and even like the media said, Bills are getting screwed on this call or this call or that call or that call. Like for me, it was just another example of. I mean, it was blatantly obvious. Like
That was
what
the
else
worst
is he
one
supposed
ever.
to do? He planted his arm to
That was the
lift
worst
up
one ever.
over the guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it was
kind of like
stop
trying
his
to,
progress.
Yeah, he was trying to get it.
He tried
exactly.
to leapfrog him. He literally tried to leapfrog him, and then he rolled into him. And then all of a sudden, he touched him.
It was soft. It was as
to
soft
me,
as it gets.
It sets a really bad precedent for the season, too. Because if you're going to say that that's all it takes for that penalty, then either say quarterbacks can't run anymore, or if they're running, they're now a running back, and we can tackle them.
And here's the thing with that, too, G. Murray's good, but he's not, them top tier guys, right? No. I don't think Josh gets called nearly as much as he could, but if that was Mahomes or even Brady 2 years ago or Burrow or somebody like that,
Rodgers.
Sure as shit that the refs are going to make that call for the better player in their eyes, for the league anyway.
If it was
every
Brady,
single
they
time.
would have hit that guy with a pipe.
Well, I'm saying,
pulled him in the back and just started beating him.
Well, the truth is, a lot of these rules
so ridiculous.
All these rules that have been put into place are because of guys like him and guys that have, wanted it for player safety and whatever.
It's ruining football. We've talked about it before. It's ruining football. And like when it
about
first
as
came out,
embarrassing
it
as
was
it gets.
ridiculous. Yeah, and now we're into the embarrassment territory. It's not even ridiculous anymore. Now it's embarrassing. And it's messing with, now that we have all this legalized gambling and everything else, you're really messing, refs are really contributing on your bet. Like I said, I had a parlay that was paying out $850. I needed Bills to be up at halftime because of a
and
bad
you're just
call.
putting down little cheese.
I lost out.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's flip it to the other script. What if these guys are, working with people to make money off of this? What if they're cheating?
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm coming down to. So that sure, your team's winning, but they're not winning by as much as we needed them to for us to make. I mean, I don't have to explain this to you.
We've said it before. They need some kind of system where they can review that call and fine the ref. You know what I mean? That call is ridiculous. If you can fine a player for being ridiculous, then okay, great. Let's fine a ref $20,000 for being ridiculous. All of a sudden, we have some accountability.
None of those guys that ref that fucking game should be able to do the Super Bowl. That was an embarrassment. All of them were like, look, I know it's their first game, and I heard some of the players say that, hey, it's their first game too, But
no,
when it happens in December. And when it happens, in the playoffs, don't give me this shit that it's their first game. They're something.
Well, the other
needs to
problem
change.
with it is the technology that we have. This is not 1960s football where all you have a little tiny white and black picture and all you can go on is what the ref says. The refs have technology available to us. The fans have technology available. You can't get away with those kind of calls anymore. If this was years and years ago, you wouldn't even known it was a horrible call because, whatever. It looked kind of bad. Now we can get down to, the blades of grass are moving in the wind as he does this.
And you
so
can see the
you
dirt.
Can't get away with that. You need to have better play calling, and you need to have repercussions for these horrible plays. Last season, there were multiple games that were impacted, significantly by horrible calls. And the close calls, whatever. Those can always go either way. Balls and strikes, go either way in baseball, whatever. But something like that where the guy is propping himself up over the quarterback to jump over him and Murray rolls into him, and we're going to count that as roughing, that cannot stand. That
Corny.
just can't happen.
Soft.
It can't happen.
Hate it.
My son's team, as you know, is the Cardinals. And watching him, he was all excited about Kyler Murray. And when Kyler Murray, first came out there, I thought, woof, there's there's something to handle. But one thing that I will say that I think you did better this year than I saw last year is you adjusted really, really well, like really quickly, really well, and shut that down.
Yeah, second half they were
really, really good adjustment.
If you watched, which I know you did. Go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy.
Are you happy with your OC? Are you happy with him now? I mean, did he show you anything you're happy with? Or
yes.
I hate ours.
Look, if they're going to spread it, there's two things that I'll say about this. One, the Bills took Arizona for granted, and I think they didn't show them their full hand. You know what I'm saying? I think they still got some plays that they're holding back that they didn't want the Dolphins to see. You didn't see a lot from Kincaid. They didn't use the bigger wide receivers on some of the smaller matchups. I think you're going to see a lot of Coleman and a lot next week of Coleman, and you're going to see a lot of Davis out of the backfield. That's one thing. So I just Josh distributing it, here, and here is way better because guess what? You don't know where he's going. When Diggs was out there, I mean, half the time they were going in that direction. That guy's great. He wanted the ball. Defenses could prepare for it. You can't do that like you did in the past. Throw in the fact that Josh can run it, and we got, a three-headed monster back there. Ty Johnson's down, but when we get him back, those three running backs and Josh, and not knowing, where they're going to be going with it, I think you're going to see a lot different offense come Thursday night. Now, but also, you can't be holding back in the NFL. I know that I really feel like they're holding their cards back for Thursday night. But you cannot be taking these teams for granted at all, ever, ever, ever. And if it wasn't for a solid coaching job, and if it wasn't for them shutting down Connor and shutting down Murray in the second half, and shutting down Marvin Harrison Jr., who didn't do shit. I mean, had a drop, was open late, but really didn't contribute at all and wasn't a threat. They were using some of their smaller guys to get us. But, I really think, that the coaches shined in that second half, but also probably got a wake-up call themselves that this week, during this short week, they really got to be prepared and ready to go come Thursday night.
Yeah, I would say that the Dolphins are in the right mindset to play you guys. So it'll be interesting to see if you did kind of hide your hand a little bit. But you can't take a loss, an easy, I'm going to call it an easy win on the Cardinals. You can't take that loss because you're going to need that win later in the season.
Absolutely.
When you get hit with a loss that you didn't see coming. You know what I mean?
And if you see, look at a lot of the teams that we'll probably be battling with if, God forbid we were wild cards. Cincinnati lost, like that whole division, Baltimore lost, so the only team that won in that division was Cleveland got smoked was Pittsburgh, who nobody was picking. So, you have to scrap it up. Last year it came down to the last game of the year. Who knows? Every single one of them are going to matter for sure. But, you can't be taking anybody for granted, especially in the NFL, man.
So looking at your some other of your division games, Miami Jags, that was interesting to watch. Tua go 338 passing yards on the Jags. Tyreek Hill going from arrested on the ground to 130 receiving yards, like
crazy. That's 80 of them on one play crazy. Too, which was pretty much the turning point. I don't know if you watched, but.
I mean, Jags, obviously, you're less worried about, compared to Miami. So what do you think when you watch Miami? What are you thinking about for when you see them?
They're going to run it. They're super fast, and their running backs can go, but they're both banged up. I don't know if they're going to be able to go this week. So Waddle got hurt too. Tyreek.
That's going to be a big one.
I mean, Tyreek's Tyreek. He's going to continue to be extremely tough to stop. But at the end of the day, for the years that Tua's been on the Dolphins and for the years that we've been playing them, it's just getting him off his spot. If we can get pressure on him like we have consistently over the years, he's going to have a tough time with us. Now, we got some different guys back there in the secondary that I'm sure he's going to test, and he's going to probably test.
But you
early.
also have a healthy Von Miller now. You know what I
Well-
mean? You got a healthy Von out there at least.
Yeah, and I'm
So that,
but remember, G, our defensive line, they rotate. Von played, but he played probably half the snaps, which is a lot for him. Maybe even more than that, to be honest with you. The guy that's really had a lot of success against Miami is Rousseau. I mean, he's from down there. That's where he went to college. He loves playing down there. I expect him to have a big game against him, and they're going to have to really plan for him. Miami's offensive line is not very strong. You know, Armstead, or the guy that used to play for the Saints, I always mess his name up, that big tackle that they had for the Saints, that was Drew Brees' left tackle. He's out there. I feel like he'll be matched up on Rousseau and Von quite a bit.
yeah, Armstead, right?
Armstead, excuse me. So, I really think that it's going to come down to that, in the trenches. If the Bills can put pressure on Tua and get him off his mark and make him make a mistake early, which they've been able to do down there a lot, I'm expecting to see good things. And I promise you this, you're going to see a lot more Dalton Kincaid on Thursday night. That's a fact, Jack. That is going to happen. They really did not showcase him much at all. I think they're going to go to Kincaid a lot. I think they're going to use Hollins a lot, and I think they're going to use Benjamin a lot, and really test that secondary for the Dolphins too. And don't forget, Josh owns those boys. He has owned them since he stepped into the league. So going down to Miami is something that the Bills love to do. They've been doing it for years now. And
It's nice to do it early.
not just the Bills. The Bills have obviously been doing it forever, but Bills fans have been doing it for years. And
Yeah.
it's a great trip, especially if you come out on top. Now, with Jacksonville, they had that game. If Etienne scores late he fumbled down on like the 1, and then I'm pretty sure after that play, Miami moved the ball a little bit and took the shot to Hill, and he scored the touchdown because they were up and ended up losing by that late field goal. And they got some weapons. Gabe Davis played good. He had, I think, like 6 or 7 catches, and every time I turned it on, he had and they were big ones. So a guy that for us was catching tons of first downs and making plays. They're going to run the ball. It comes down to Jacksonville with me. Geez, what we've talked about. Lawrence stinks. He proved it at the end of last year. I just don't trust him. And until he proves me wrong and can get back to, that big time play.
He panics late season. I mean, that's just what he does. I mean, even however they look now, you get him into late season and he just starts falling apart. I don't get it. Like I've said many times, I like Trevor Lawrence. He's somebody that I when he was picked up, I wish that he was over here. I thought he'd be a good fit. But I'm glad that we didn't do that because he is just not like someone like Josh has developed. Mahomes has developed. Lamar has developed. Lawrence, I don't really see the development. And Burrow, I don't know what's going on with that. I would say Burrow's developed, but lately is going downhill. I don't know what's going on with him. He needs to get his head back in the game.
I think that teams like Cincinnati are going to have games like that, especially when they're, trying to reassemble after all the injuries and baloney they went through last year. So I'm not giving them a pass. I'm glad they lost because, like I said, it could matter late. But, that division beats the crap out of each other every single year anyway. So I'm not – what goes on over there goes on over there. At the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to continue to be a major concern for us because they're in the division. And this game on a short week and losing Johnson is going to be a tough haul for this coaching staff. But I think it's going to be a real good test to see what we got. And we can go down there and break their hearts nice and early in the season and go 2-0 and have Jacksonville coming in here on Monday night. That sounds pretty great to me. So I would love to see the Bills, go down there, sack him a couple times, turn him over, and just kick their ass like they have, over the last couple of years. Now, obviously, it was a great game last year, a lot closer. And the year before that, they beat us. But for a while, we were going down there and pounding them. I would like to get back to that this week.
It's one of those games that's hard to pick. Like you and I are in that pick'em league, And I've switched back and forth between Bills and Dolphins like 3 times today. Like I talk myself into one, and then I switch it up, and then I talk myself into the other one again. It's a hard one to pick because we've talked about before. Like, however good a team is, you put them in a divisional game, and it's like a whole new freaking thing. All of a sudden, they know each other. I mean, think about how well you guys know each other. You know what I mean? Like, this is like what you guys do.
Well,
so
the money
it should be a good game.
It was at 1.5 to open, and the money's going towards Miami, and I think that's because the people that bet that know are seeing that Teron Johnson injury is going to be big, but I also think that people were under the assumption that Josh's hand was a big deal. It's not. He said he's fine, so he got cleared.
He said he was fine immediately. Like it was just
I know,
media trying to get a story. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't any concern there.
This is what he did, though. G, in the press conference, they asked him about it. He said, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so we'll see tomorrow." So a lot of people were like, "Oh, Jesus, what does that mean?" So, little like you said, you're reading way too much into it. But
because it'd be a huge story. If he gets hurt, then that's a huge story. So everyone's trying to jump on that story. You know what I mean?
I'm going to make a prediction right now. He's going to wear a brace or some shit on his hand on Thursday night, and everybody's going to freak the fuck out right off the bat. And then it will be a huge story. Watch, it'll be something like that. Or in the second half, he had it on and he takes it off and he doesn't wear it. Like, watch, it'll be some baloney.
And anybody that's worried, always watch the Vegas odds. If you're ever worried about an injury, just look at the Vegas odds.
And that's why I had to look real quick. So
just look at those odds, and then that'll tell you what the actual story is going to be there.
And I think people were concerned about it. And look, Miami has played us tough every game, pretty much over the last 2 years, including a playoff, freezing cold, we had to win it on the last drive type of playoff game. So I don't know what to expect, but I will say this. We have a new offense that they have not been able to prepare for yet. And with what Josh has out there, that they have no idea where it's going to be going or where it's going to be coming from, that's something that he has in his pocket that he hasn't had in a long, long time. And it's going to be fun to see how it all transpires come Thursday night.
So, Jets, are you worried about the Jets now? Has the time come that everyone should be worried in your division?
Worried? Absolutely not. Rodgers looked horrible. I don't want to say he looked horrible. He looked average. They were good on that first drive. If you watch, they really moved the ball. He was pretty well balanced and was hitting Wilson for some big first down catches. But as soon as San Francisco figured out what they were trying to do, they were toast. San Francisco's defense is fantastic. I'm not taking nothing away from them. They are awesome. They made it to the Super Bowl last year, and without bearing an injury in the Super Bowl, they might have even won it. So that defense is to be commended. But at the end of the day, the thing that I was really, really shocked is the Jets' defense was horrible. They gave up 8 scores, and McCaffrey wasn't even in there. 8 times in a row they went down there and scored. So even if you scored 8 freaking field goals, that's still 24 points. So there was some touchdowns sprinkled in there, boy. And
they are my defense in both leagues. They're my defense. So I got to get hit by that twice with them. I lost one of my leagues this week by 1 point because they got -1. So 1 point.
Yeah, I mean,
freaking Jets defense, man.
They give up 32. That's their anchor. That's what they really lean on. The 49ers, obviously not having McCaffrey in there, everybody thought that it was going to be, really difficult for them. But, man, Jordan Mason.
That's what we've been being told, right? Every Jets fan, we have an amazing defense. Once Rodgers is back out there, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Jordan Mason
where was
carved them up. He was awesome last night. So, McCaffrey's replacement comes in and just absolutely I think he had 150 yards.
147 rushing yards on that defense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a touchdown that was sweet. The guy is tough as nails, and, there will be a story that's coming out about this, too. Gee, I forgot to talk to you a little bit about this. They knew that McCaffrey wasn't going to play on Sunday, on Friday. This kid Wilson already knew that he was going to be playing, but they hid it from the press and they hid it from the NFL. So they're probably going to get a fine for not reporting.
Sounds like the Burrow situation last year.
Well, think about all the shit that it fucks up in Vegas, too. Think of all the fantasy stuff and everything else. You know how many people would have jumped on this kid just because they needed to, not even knowing he would have done as well as he did? So that's a story that we'll be able to talk about in a couple weeks for sure.
Now that you've made gambling so out there in front of everybody and all that, these people that normally you wouldn't hear complain because they're, going to their bookie in a dark bar somewhere. Now all of a sudden you're going to hear all these people because you can legally gamble on these games. Yeah. So
because some douchebag's on his cell phone and he reads the story and he's like, "Oh, this is baloney. I want my money back.
I want my money back." Yeah, exactly. So not worried about the Jets then. I thought, for Rodgers, he's just a little bit rusty, we'll see. I actually dropped Caleb on my fantasy and picked up Rodgers on one of my teams because I think Caleb he might be the preseason hero here. So I actually dropped him to pick up Rodgers. That way I got Rodgers stored for later. But it wasn't it was better than last year's performance from him, though. I mean, he was on the field this time, so he's already getting better. So that's good.
You're shot.
Moving on. There's one Jets fan at work, and I just love I was asking him betting odds on if Rodgers is going to fall down, which way will he roll on the ground this time? Is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? It was he loves me. We're the best of friends. We're great.
I've hated the Jets my whole life, so I'm proud of that too.
So Raiders. Yeah. We were talking before the show. Honestly, one of the things that annoys me the most about the game is the Raiders forum of people complaining because
get ready for that, baby.
Their focus and what they're complaining about, it just doesn't line up with what's actually going on. With the whole O'Connell Minshew thing, we had talked about it. As soon as Minshew messes up one pass, it's going to be, we need O'Connell. As soon as O'Connell messes up one pass, we need Minshew. It's just going to go back and forth. And that's what the forum is, it's all Minshew's fault. It's all Minshew's fault. He messed up all the third downs and blah, 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 blah. Well, he didn't, for one. If we go through those turnovers, when we did not make that, like with our in the first quarter there, Zamir White, we need it. 1 yard, give it to him. Nope, fail. 3rd and 9, first quarter again. Pass short to Tucker, we get it. Zamir White up the middle, -1 yards when we were 4th and 1. It's not Minshew. He's giving the ball to White, and White failed us. We had all this thing about White's amazing, White's amazing. Well, we're going to get to that too. A lot of things failed.
Well, right there, we're going to get to that too. Like the predictability, man. 4th and 1, and you're going to dive your running back. Everybody knows in the whole place that it's coming. And
he's already failed before. He already failed on this on that idea. He already failed on it. So
I get trying to enforce your will, but like you said, if we've already failed this once and they pretty much read it and ate it up, we probably should try something else. But no.
And Aiden would have completely fallen apart with how weak our offensive line is. I said it when we were doing our preseason stuff, that the reason why he went with Minshew was because he had no faith in our offensive line. Everyone's like, it's preseason. We get in that game. That offensive line was completely embarrassing. You need Minshew back there because Aiden can't move. He's a little statue. So we would have had sack after sack after sack with Aiden because he doesn't have, if he has a pocket, can Aiden throw a ball? Absolutely, he can. But the pocket is not there. It's Minshew, running around, passing on the fly, scrambling, all those kind of things, which if he was better at, we would have better results, but he's not as good at that as other quarterbacks are. If it was, someone like Allen or Mahomes, they wouldn't have cared. They would have been fine. But, Minshew is the better quarterback that we have to run all around and do passes on the fly and all that. That's why. And the fact that our coach has no faith in our offense comes down to the other problem, which is AP. How in the hell, when you are a score down in the fourth quarter and you have 1 yard to go, you punt the ball? How does that? How does that decision even cross your mind? Like you have that little of faith in your offense to get you 1 yard. I don't even care if you don't have faith in your offense. You still go for it because maybe you were wrong. Hopefully you were wrong, and we get that yard. It made no sense. It was a horrible coaching decision, and we have seen these decisions come out of AP last season. We've seen it in the preseason, and I get that he's a new coach and all those kind of things, but all of you guys that wanted AP instead of Harbaugh, just remember that as we go through this season, when AP makes really bad coaching decisions, that you wanted the new guy that was the hype guy. I like AP. AP is definitely a Raider. I love what he has to say, but he's making really bad decisions, and he's showing his hand that he has absolutely no faith in his team. And that's not what I want out of a coach. That worries me that my coach in fourth quarter, a score down, he doesn't have faith in his team to go for a yard. That really worries me because he's with them day in and day out.
About as chicken shit as it gets. Very similar to the field goal of death situation with McDermott. Now, obviously, we had the lead, and, you're kind of in a different position, but it's still the same type of mentality. You're 4th and 1. You got to go for this first down because if you kick it, chances are you're not getting the ball back, or they go down and score. They only needed a field goal to make it a 2-score game. They scored a touchdown. It was one of the. I tell you what, there are a lot of things that remind me of the past, but no game that I've watched, and I watched your Raiders for you because I wanted to be able to rip your ass for it when we did this today. But no game reminded me more of the drought Bills than that game with the shitty quarterback play with the tough running back who scored an awesome touchdown. The game was close all the way to the end. And then the coach threw up in his lap. I mean, Rex did that, Dick Duran did that. I can name coach after coach that did the same type of chicken shit play just like that, that if you're a fan, it breaks your heart because as you're watching it, when it really matters, that guy's going to do something that's going to break your heart. And that's exactly what happened for you guys.
We have an entire line of weapons. It's not like we don't have anybody to go to.
You picked multiple options in the draft to play offensive line. Give them a chance to prove that they're in the fucking NFL right now. Let them bury somebody, I just don't get it. I don't know. No. He talks so tough and then he kicks it. And they were on the other side of the 50. Lose.
And the game was lost at that decision because the players have got to know what this means as their coach. There's no way that, his entire offense does not understand what that statement, meant to everybody. I mean, so you lost the game then, and then you throw it, on the backs of your defense, who have already been keeping you in this game because your offense has not been doing it. Your defense has kept you in this game. So as an FU to them, he says, "Nah, we're gonna punt and we're gonna make the defense get the ball and score." I mean, it made no sense. It was to me the coaching decisions worry me a lot more than interception or than a fumble or something like that because those things are going to happen.
Players are going to make mistakes, yes. They're young, they're inexperienced. Both of our teams have a lot of young players. But the coaches should not be, making those types of horrible decisions that basically take you any chance of you winning the game. I mean, you got to get lucky.
You can't say it's the first time that he's done it. He has been beating up fan base and media for very similar, if not the exact same, kind of decisions. It's not like he hasn't been in this situation before. He's been in this situation multiple times, and he has made the wrong decision multiple times. Like and now he has an assistant head coach and all that too. Nobody is telling this guy, "Hey, this is a really dumb idea." I mean, Harbaugh must have been laughing when that decision happened. I tell you what, Harbaugh would have gone for it. So, all you AP fans, and I am an AP fan, but don't get on the Raiders forums and blame it on Minshew and all those kind of things. Minshew threw for 257 yards for us that game. Okay, and then and he made those conversions by throwing the ball, not by handing it off, by throwing the ball or running the ball. He made those conversions, and we get down to 4-1, and instead of giving Minshew the ball and saying, "Here, do this with all the weapons we have available to you, with our offensive coordinator that's supposed to be, he's going to mean so much for us. Do it. Go get 1 yard." Instead, no, punt it away. We'll let the defense see what they're going to do with it.
I mean, the Bills.
It's just ridiculous.
The Bills go for it a lot on fourth. I don't want this to turn into something that it's not. I mean, I'm talking about, sure, going for it on fourth down in the second quarter of week 6 against Jacksonville or against Houston or whoever. That's one thing. I'm talking about in the playoffs when it's late, when you got to really, really, crunch the numbers and say to yourself, I got to take this shot right here because this might be the last shot I get at beating this team. And unfortunately, McDermott a couple times in the past hasn't done that. And same now for you. And a lot of the times he was going to end up relying.
Defensive-minded coach.
I was just going to say, they rely on their defense. And a lot of the time they end up beating their shoe because they just made the wrong decision. You got a guy like Josh. Take fucking advantage of him. Go get 3 yards. And if you really want to rely on your defense, let your defense come in there and make a play for Josh, who just fucked up, so that, it goes both ways. I mean, you really want to rely on them, let them go in there and do it like that. Don't put their back up against the wall and make it their fault when you kick that field goal of death and they come down there and beat you. Because that's happened. I've seen it happen in that barn more than once. So
I'm fine with depending on a defense, but to me, when you set your defense up that they've been dogging it the entire game because your offense haven't given them the rest, it hasn't been producing, and your defense has been working that whole game, you then throw it back on them, end of fourth quarter, a score down, like, hey, I know you guys are tired and you've been doing everything, but can you do it again because my offense can't get 1 yard? If he would have gone for it and not gotten the yard, I would have been less upset. I would have been less upset if he would have gone for it and not made it than for him punting. I would have been less upset.
I mean, now if they go down and lose, so what?
Well,
right?
if they
at least they tried to get the
we
first
lost
down.
anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we don't win without. I his backup for that is, well, there was still time left in the game and blah blah blah. No. No, and we need this win. This is a divisional game. We need this win.
Yeah,
if you're
like
going to get the loss for trying, get the loss.
What was there, 5 minutes left when he kicked it?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 6 minutes or something. Like when they.
I mean, that's a couple first downs, dude, and the game's over. I mean, you go down there, you get 3 first downs, 4 first downs, and kick the field goal. Game's over. So
there was enough time for us to get that conversion and then control the rest of the game. That was the setup. We get that conversion and control the end of the game and win that game.
At least take
that
the
was the
lead.
decision that should have been made.
Yeah.
But instead, we're going to punt. And like I said, this is the third, fourth, whatever time that these decisions are being made. And I don't like having a coach. You want to smoke cigars with them after the game. How about put some faith in them during the game to get you a yard? I want a coach that believes in his team, and you gotta think about someone like Devontae Adams, think about someone like Bowers, blah blah blah. They got to be thinking like, I want the ball, but why didn't you give me the ball? Yeah.
He was open a lot.
Minshew is not seeing his taking too long, especially with an O line that falls apart instantly. He's just not seeing it.
I feel like a play action on one of those fourth down plays would have got you a first down, at least on one of them, But hey, real quick before we move on, How about the sweet catch Devontae Adams made out of bounds? Did you see that? Like when he was over? Oh my God! Nobody even talked about that. That was amazing. Oh gee, I wish I would have told you to get the clip. Holy shit, that was one.
It
of
was
the,
like casual.
It was just so nonchalant, like he did that normally. Yeah. I got it. Look like he caught it with his pinky. It was amazing.
It was almost like a message of, hey, if you actually put the ball around me, we could be doing this on the field.
He was like mad. Like, see if you threw it anywhere close, I'd have a chance, dude.
If you just put it somewhere on the field, then I can make this happen for you. But you're too busy not doing that.
Wow, great throw. Too bad I can't make an amazing catch inbounds, you asshole.
Our run defense was, obviously Dobbins tore us up 135 yards. Yeah. That run defense was a problem in preseason. It was something that still has not been fixed. We are not winning on that line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. We're not making the holes for White to get through, and we're leaving tons of holes for everyone else to run on us. And we cannot let that happen. Think about how many games come down to that run. You know what I mean? Whether it's weather or whatever else, how many games come down to that run? We cannot be giving up, over 100 yards to one person on a run. Yeah. Especially when AP's message is, we're going to dominate, both lines. We're going to dominate the run game. We're going to blah, blah, blah. We didn't do any of the things. I feel like he's like running for president or something. All the things that he promised, none of those things happened. Like, none of these things are happening.
He had a long run, though. Let's not forget that. I mean, a lot of those stats came off of one rip. But at the end of the day,
61-yard run. But he's still at 135.
No, that's a problem. Like, and Herbert was terrible. I mean, I don't know what it is, but everybody seems terrible.
I don't understand anybody that's excited about Herbert. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it.
It's like he's in slow motion with his reads. He doesn't when he gets moving out of the pocket, he's a little bit faster. But I don't know, man.
To me, if you told me Herbert or Minshew, I'd be like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. I don't really care. I don't get the whole vibe about Herbert. I don't know.
I think it's the tools and the size and the college shit. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't impress me, and his stats were right there to back that up. I mean, the Raiders were in their face like the whole day. You could tell that they wanted to get to the quarterback, and I think that's why you saw a lot of those runs getting ripped off.
Well, Herbert, I mean, we needed to be able to get to the quarterback because as soon as you start jostling Herbert, he does start falling apart. Me and James, who've been on this show before, we were talking about before the game of, we need to hit this guy. Being down Kuntz definitely did not help either. That did not help things. But once again, Raiders, the next man up mentality kind of thing. Well, you got to prove it then. Like Snowden was
everybody
okay.
Everybody says that crap. Everybody says that. I mean, it's having the horses. You've talked a lot about building depth, and I think your defense has it. I mean, they didn't really budge. Those big plays are what really hurt them, but they kept them in the game, and obviously, they're going to keep your team in a lot of games. So I would.
If we had an offense, we win that game. I mean,
Jacoby's
if we would have had an offense,
Jacoby played great. Your boy Zamir was tough when he had the ball in his hands. His touchdown was nice, and or not. Who had the long run for them? It wasn't White. Who was the other running back who had the touchdown? I forget. But man, like I enjoyed watching them just battle. And I love watching that divisional matchup, but the coaching stuff was gross, and then obviously that brawl at the end was pretty rough too.
The brawl at the end was my favorite part of the game.
Well, I'm shocked.
I mean, it was like, oh, cool. There's some Raiders out there. I like that. But the problem is give me the brawl while we're winning and we win the game. Don't give me the brawl and we go home. That's not.
Give me the brawl when we're in the tunnel before the game starts. That's more like it.
Let's get everybody charged up on that. But as far as the whole hating on Minshew thing, I found Minshew to be a serviceable quarterback for that game. He's the number 2 quarterback. He's not a number 1 quarterback. He's a number 2. But to me, out of all the other things that we have problems with, Minshew is kind of the last thing on my list of concerns, because Minshew, I feel, keeps us in that game if that O-line is better, if AP is making better decisions, if White can get that run. Minshew is keeping us in that game. So I don't feel like he's the reason we lost. I feel like if we had O'Connell in there, O'Connell would have been on his ass most of that game, because we've watched it happen. He can't move.
Yeah, he was moving around a lot. He needed to. That's for sure.
Of course, going to our opponents, as always, freaking, Kansas City doing their thing. I honestly thought that Ravens were going to take that one. I think that I predicted that in our pick'em league. I think I picked Ravens actually. I thought Ravens were gonna pull that through. At the beginning, it was looking good, but then Mahomes and does his thing, being Mahomes. 291 yards out of him. The fact that they could win that game without utilizing Kelsey at all worries me. Because I've been at least going on the theory of, they're unstoppable, but if we can keep Kelsey under wraps, then we're going to be okay. They just went out there and showed that they don't need Kelsey. He's too busy dressing up like a mountain hiker or something with Taylor Swift there. I don't know what's going on with his outfits now.
Well, they used Rice a lot.
They don't need him.
In the slot, and I feel like they pressed him a lot. They didn't really give him a lot of space, and you could see he was frustrated. I'm not too concerned. Obviously, I'm going to worry about the Chiefs when I need to worry about the Chiefs. The thing that I was really just like, come on, were the 3 possessions at the end of the game for Lamar in the red zone. Like, those throws, all 3 of them were dog shit. You throw one of them good, and you're fine. You probably score a touchdown, right? Flowers was wide open. And then the guy who actually catches the ball, that, whose toe gets on the line there, he's the one he threw it to in the other corner that came down kind of weird, and he was out of the play. So he misses a play because of Lamar's shitty throw, too. So, look at Lamar's great. Yes, he can run. He can make plays with his feet. He's very exciting. He's multi-dimensional. Henry isn't going to do shit for them. I mean, they just brought more guys into the box, which made it easier for them to get to Lamar. So, until they show me, a consistent run game, people are just going to shadow him and make him beat them, basically. And I don't know. It's an appetite. It's a recipe for disaster. That guy is talking about, how he lost weight to get faster. Well, that's fine and dandy, but from what I watched on Thursday night,
he showed it. I mean, he did a really good job running. I mean,
he's going to get smacked. He's going to get smacked, just like Josh. You know what I mean? Like, and Lamar isn't as big as Josh either. Where Josh sometimes goes looking for trouble a lot of times, right? Lamar is trying to dance away from it, and the thing that always ends up getting him hurt,
I feel like if you put him in
is
other
the guy he
positions,
doesn't see coming.
Josh could have been that power running back. Lamar could have been a wide receiver. There makes a big difference when you're trying to run through a pile between those two things. You know what I mean?
Josh is a linebacker and Lamar's a safety. How about we say it like that? I mean, get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
I mean,
we're talking about them running. I'm just saying we're talking about them on
toughness.
Offense,
Right. It was a joke, but toughness factor, and obviously Lamar put his head down a couple of times when he got over near the sideline. I'm sorry, dude.
He does that a lot, yeah.
He can't be doing
when he's
that.
Cold.
Exactly.
He
just
cold. He
cannot.
Yeah.
I think he does it when he gets pissed, and like it might have worked when he was
in his own head.
Yeah, when he was in college and high school, but that shit is not going to fly anymore. And I don't know. I just was.
And that's
not
the difference
impressed by
between like
him.
Allen and Mahomes. Like Allen and Mahomes, when they get in those situations, I feel like they get focused when they get in those situations. They might take on a little bit too much on their own shoulders at those points. Both of them do, but they still get focused. Whereas Lamar gets all upset and starts yelling at people and doing whatever Lamar does. I like Lamar a lot. I actually feel like Lamar, would have been a good fit over this way, I think. But I also feel like there is some overrating of Lamar where it's, well, he's going to be much better this season. And he does not have the excuse where he doesn't have weapons. You can't say, well, he's great. If only he had some weapons, he could utilize them. He has the weapons to utilize. I mean, he has better weapons than lots of other teams, have available to him. And like you said, he's either not seeing them, or he's missing those targets. And at key moments, I mean, it's great that he can run. I mean, he ran for 122 yards that game. Mm-hmm. That's great. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to hit that guy in the end zone in that corner when you need it. You know, and they can flip out about, his toe was over the line. Well, don't put him in that position. Put him in the end zone. Don't argue about a toe on the line. Don't put him in that position in the first place. Hit your target when he's in the end zone.
Yeah, they're predictable. That's going to be the problem in the long run. Okay, nothing has changed over the tenure that he's been there. Like, big power running back, excellent tight ends, some burners on the edge. Right? Like, I don't know. I'm not. Likely is probably going to be something that will be a huge bonus for him, because this guy went out there and caught 9 balls the other night. So if he's going to start going to a receiver like him, he's going to have a day. But he put him in a bad position. He puts his receivers in positions where they can get smacked, and even worse, coming down on shoulders and things like that. So
he's really easy to flush too. I mean, he's really easy.
As soon as he gets a little
for the run.
I think
he looks for the run instead of looking for
always
flowers.
Been his mentality.
He's looking for how can he run through. He's like Fields, but more successful. It's the same kind of mentality of, instead of looking for how to get this downfield, it's where can I get the run. And maybe some of that is the fact that a prima donna like him doesn't want to get hit. I mean, Josh. I've watched Josh make some throws where Josh knew he was about to get hit, and he didn't care. He made the throw anyway. Well, Lamar's not that guy.
No, he wasn't in the playoffs last year when they played the Chiefs. He bailed out on a couple plays, and I agree with that. Bringing Derrick Henry in was supposed to be like this big, we got such a dual threat now, but the truth is, teams are already preparing for them to run. So, maybe it's Lamar, maybe it's, Derek, but at the end of the day, they just haven't done anything new that is going to surprise anybody. And I think as the season goes on, it's going to be trouble for them.
So next week's predictions, I'm sorry, Raiders fans. I don't see how we're going to get that done. I don't see how we're going to beat Baltimore in Baltimore. Gotta go
in their home opener.
I don't see how we with looking at what we saw there. I don't see how we get that done. I had said, preseason that we really needed to win one of these 2 first games. I was planning on that being Chargers, which was ours to win, and it was also ours to lose, and that's what we did. I don't see us beating. I don't see us beating. I mean, I understand we got the defense, but we do not have anybody that can shoot out with Lamar. We just don't have it. They're gonna rack up some points eventually. Our defense is not gonna hold them to 0 for an entire game, and their defense is good enough that it's gonna give our dwindling offense. It's just gonna give them too much to handle. So unfortunately, I would not bet on the Raiders next week.
They're tough at home, too. Going to Baltimore early in the season, tall task, man. And it's going to be rocking. They're pissed that they lost and got screwed by the Chiefs, But, I mean, the Raiders, they got a tough road ahead of them for that game for sure. I don't see how it could go their way. I mean, they would have to have a lot of the weather, some turnovers, a lot of bullshit's got to go their way in order for it to happen, man. But
a whole lot of penalties, and we don't have any. But even that, I don't think is
that's impossible.
Save us.
It's the Raiders. They're not going to have. Yeah, they're going to have some penalties.
Yeah, especially with our run defense right now and what Lamar's doing and everything else. It's just
he's going to get cracked once or twice.
Yeah. So how about Thursday night? What are you thinking? I'm guessing you're going Bills, of course.
Well, I mean, I want to explain why, of course, there, Mr. G. So
go for it, yeah.
Like I said, I think they needed to knock a lot of the rust off, and they took that team for granted preparing for Thursday night. I think Thursday, that was kind of the dress rehearsal for Thursday night. Now, obviously, losing Teron Johnson is a huge, huge loss for the Bills. But, Cam Lewis is in there, and he can contribute like he did last week. We should be okay. I don't see how Miami is going to be able to stop this Bills offense. They are extremely excited about the opportunity of going down there and showing everyone that it's not the Stephon Diggs show anymore. And don't be surprised if you see some big numbers go on that scoreboard and the Bills get back to going down to Miami like they have over the last couple of years and dominate. I really would like to see them show the rest of the league and show all the other people that are doubting them that they got what it takes and go down there. I'm liking them like 34-20 and seeing some great production from a wide receiving core that a lot of people don't know much about yet. So we'll see how it goes. I think Cook is going to have a big game. I think Davis will have a big game. And Dalton Kincaid, along with Coleman, watch out for those two. I know that all Bills fans want that to happen, but I feel like this is the game where it really can, and don't be surprised if it does.
Yeah, the over and under on that one is set at 49. So that's
and it opened at 50.5. So yeah, I just there's so much on that side that I think it will definitely go over. And I just from the history of these teams, I feel like it's going to be a shootout and one that people are going to remember for a couple of years.
So this show is coming out a little bit later than we normally plan. Unfortunately, Monday night.
Fire Marshal Bill over here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Monday night with my fire department was a very, very long night. We had a whole lot of flooding and everything else in this area, so we were not able to do our show Monday night. Normally, we will have the show out for you Tuesday mornings. We do the show Monday nights. We're doing the show Tuesday night right now for this week. So apologize for that, but unfortunately, duty called on that one and took up some hours there.
Thank you for your service, Jay.
Oh, hush. I watched the guy kayaking in the streets. I watched that happen. It was an interesting night.
I watched a guy steal a kayak and walk down the street with it once or twice, but never saw him actually in.
I mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you guys for joining us. Check out our other shows. Some of you that listen to us on audio, that's great. We're on all those providers. We also have a YouTube channel. So if you want to watch the video, you can find us at Bills and Bones on YouTube, however you like to watch it. Next week, we're going to have a Raiders guest on that is new to the show, Nate. We haven't met him yet, so he'll be on with us next week to talk about the games. And we're actually planning a future where we have 4 of us on here to do a discussion. So we'll be coming out with that eventually for you too. I think we're gonna see if we want to bring the original PC out of podcast retirement here. And
well, I promise you, if we win and we're 2-0 with a Monday night game coming, he'll be happy to come on. I bet your ass.
So we'll have him on as well. Thank you guys for joining us, and have a great night.
Go Bills, baby.